Hey guys, welcome back to Sunday Potluck. Today I am making bread out of the second edition of the WHBC cookbook, and it is entitled Breads and Rolls. So it's gonna make a lot. She said it makes 5 loaves of bread or several pans of rolls, and she also uses this recipe to make cinnamon rolls. So this is not my cinnamon roll recipe. For those of y'all that know my cinnamon rolls, this is not the dough that does my cinnamon rolls. But Miss Ogden says she uses it to make her cinnamon rolls. So let's get started. I have already started dissolving the yeast and the sugar mixture in here. So that's already starting to do its thing. I'm gonna set that back over. So you're gonna need 6 cups of warm water, a cup of sugar, and 3 packages of yeast in order to do the yeast. Make sure it says dissolve yeast and sugar in the water. Do not stir. That's what it said. Do not stir, capital letters. Set aside, and then you're gonna beat 4 eggs. And it doesn't say how well to beat 4 eggs, but it just says you're gonna beat 4 eggs. And I need another towel. Wipe my hands. Okay, so you're gonna beat these 4 eggs. I'm just gonna kind of whisk them till they're good. And I don't know if I should actually use a beater. But I mean, it does the same thing, right? Right. Okay. So you're going to beat eggs, salt, and powdered milk. And you're going to need a tablespoon of salt. That sounds like a lot, but it's not really when you think about how many loaves this makes. So a tablespoon of salt and a cup of powdered milk. And I just am using this Carnation instant non-fat dry milk. So you're gonna need a cup of that. I'm gonna do it in half cup increments because the container lid is kind of small. So maybe I do need my beater, my mixer, because I wasn't expecting all that, but Okay, so you're gonna beat all of this together. And then you're also gonna need 2 sticks of butter, which equals to be a cup of butter melted. Sometimes I make things harder than they should be, because had I just got my mixers out, this would probably go a lot faster. So I'm gonna do that because I think she uses the beaters, or the not beaters, the you know what I'm talking about, mixer. I'm glad y'all know what I'm talking about, because most of the time I do not know what I'm talking about. Sometimes, very rarely, do I know what I'm talking about. But every once in a while. And that's the fun of making a new recipe, is that you don't have to know what you're talking about, because you don't know what you're talking about anyway. So I get my mixer plugged in. So I'm going to mix this up, and then I'm going to make sure that's turned off as I'm plugging it in. So that took all of 2 seconds. So it says add the melted butter. I'm going to add the melted butter. Like a scraper. Probably left some melted butter in there. And then it says to add the yeast mixture, but my yeast has not started bubbling up yet. So I am probably gonna just pause right here and let the yeast mixture. I should have made sure that that was going before I decided to turn this off. I'm gonna let my yeast mixture foam up and do its thing, and then we'll come back to right here. Okay, guys. So my yeast, I don't know. I'm just getting spanked by my child. Okay, so I thought that my yeast mixture was my yeast was dead, and so I went to the store and I get some new yeast, but I left my yeast going and it looks like it's not dead. So I hope that I didn't ruin this because it had melted butter in it. I don't know, that just seems like very watery. Okay, so it said to add the yeast mixture and add flour gradually. So I have added the yeast mixture. I'm gonna stir that up. And then I'm gonna add flour about a cup at a time. Well, a couple of cups at a time, because that's still a little bit at a time. So I'm gonna mix this in, doing it on low. It'd probably be okay to use a spoon, and that may be what I want to do. I'm gonna just forget this, and I'm going to use a spoon and just stir it in. I feel like I may have really messed this up with the butter. I don't know, because it was supposed to be melted butter, and it solidified a little bit while I was at the store getting yeast that I did not need, because it's what we always do, don't we? So anyway, so I'm just gonna stir this up, and I think, so this says it makes 5 loaves of bread, and it makes several pans of rolls, and that you could also use it to make cinnamon rolls. I think this is gonna be a really, really good bread, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm really hoping actually that I can use this as rolls for the holidays, but make it and freeze them like before they rise for the first time. I know that bread that I've done in the past, if you let it rise once, and then when you knock it down, and that's when you form it into your loaves or your rolls or your whatevers, and then you bake them, before you let them rise the second time as a loaf or a roll, then you can freeze them at that point in time, and you can when you get them out of the freezer, then that's when you let them rise that last time, and then you bake them. So I'm kind of hoping that I can do that with these. So we'll see how that goes. It's smelling really good. I love yeast rolls. What you got, Marianne? You need an apple? Okay. So this bowl is almost... So, oh, I'm sorry. I never told you how much flour you needed. So you needed 5 pounds of flour. And I got in a 10-pound bag, and so I weighed out my flour. And I did not, I did not figure out how many cups it was. I just weighed it out. So, sorry. I think that's all you need to use. 6 cups of water, a cup of sugar, 3 packages of yeast, 4 eggs, a tablespoon of salt, a cup of powdered milk, a cup of melted butter, and 5 pounds of flour. So here in a minute, I'm not going to be able to stir this anymore, and you're just going to have to start, or I'm going to have to start kneading it by hand. And so we'll have to do that. I don't know. I bet you could divide this. I mean, if you use, I guess it's the 3 packages of yeast that throws you off, but if you just, I think I figured, I looked it up, and there's 2 1/4 teaspoons, no, yes, yeah, 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast in each package. So if you did the math, you could figure out how to divide it into 2. But it was probably easier just to do the 5 pounds of flour as well, because I think you can buy a bag of flour in 5 pounds. So instead of having to know how to measure it out. So that's probably how she did it, or at least maybe that's how it started out, that you could do 5-pound bag of flour. This will give you a workout for sure. I told my husband the next time we have to redo a kitchen or buy a house or redo a bar, we have to redo this bar for any reason again, because we made this, the countertop, it's epoxy, it's resin, so that's kind of cool. So you can do it however you want to, but I told him next time we do that, I want a bar that's kind of table height, because I'm not super short, but I'm not super tall either, and rolling dough out on a bar, that's work. So I told him I needed a bar, or a table height bar, in order to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm fixing to dump this, still a little wet, but it's fixing to get really hard. My arms are sore. I'm old and my arms are hurting. So I haven't worked out in a while. Let's just say that. So I'm going to dump the rest of this flour on the bar here. And we are just going to knead this bread like God intended on a bar. So, or on a countertop, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to leave a little bit of flour still in my big bowl so that I can add to this as needed. And it says to just knead this until it is elasticy. And that, like I said, that's still a little wet, but I just cannot stir anymore. So we're gonna have fun, y'all. So actually, I'm going to just probably time lapse this part, so y'all don't have to see me struggling to knead stuff. Okay, guys, so I have kneaded and I added a little bit more flour because it was still a little sticky and not very, I don't know. It pulls apart like that, and I don't know if that's where or if it should like have a window pane look. I don't know, but the more I knead it, the more sticky it gets, and the more flour I add, and then the more it goes the other way around. So I am going to call this thing done. So now it says to place it in a greased metal or glass bowl, covering with a towel to let it rise. So I've got to, because I used my bowl a while ago, I'm gonna wash that bowl out and then grease it up, and then put this in here, put a towel over it, let it rise for, doesn't say how long, it just says till it's double in size. So it just depends on how warm your house is, as to, I'm out of breath, I'm so out of shape. It just depends on how warm your house is as to how long it's going to take this to rise twice its size. So I'll be back in just a little while. All right, after I wash this bowl out, I'm thinking this bowl may not be big enough. So I'm just going to put a little bit of vegetable oil. It doesn't say how to grease it, so I'm just going to put a little bit of vegetable oil in it and kind of roll it around. And I didn't do like a super deep, thorough wash on this bowl, so I don't know, because it was just the same bowl that everything was in. So normally what I do is I will flip it back upside down to make sure that the top is greased or oiled as well. And then I will, see what I mean? That bowl is not almost, but at least it'll show us, it'll give me a good indicator of how, when that bread does double. So this is gonna make a lot of bread, and I am all excited about that. Like I said, I'm gonna make probably 2 loaves of bread out of it, and then make some regular rolls, and see how that goes. See how many rolls I can get out of it. Because I know I can get 5 loaves of bread. So if I can get 5 loaves of bread and I can see how many rolls I can get, then I'll know about how many rolls I should be able to get out of this one recipe. Because it just says it makes several pans, but I don't know how many rolls she puts in a pan or how big her rolls are. So I'm going to let this double. I'm going to let it sit right here, and I will see y'all probably, should take about 30-40 minutes maybe for it to double. Like I said, depending on how warm your kitchen is. Also, another tip is you put it in the oven, but don't turn your oven on, but turn your oven light on. And that'll help it, because the light in the oven gives off a little bit of heat, and it'll give off just enough to help it to rise, but not cause it to cook any. So there's you a little helpful helpful hint. So I'll see you back in a little bit. Okay, guys, so the dough has doubled. I don't know if you could see that. So if it hasn't doubled, I'm calling it doubled, and we're going from there. So this says, and I'm gonna scoot it back for just a little bit. This says that it will make 5 loaves of bread and several pans of rolls. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make 2 loaves of bread, and then I'll make the rest into rolls. So what I do when I make my bread is I kind of make a little basket like that. Or not a basket, but I make a parchment paper thing like this. That way it mostly comes out, and you just have the 2 ends to, like, if you need to do a knife or whatever down there. I don't grease the pans. It doesn't say that you need to grease it, so I don't. I don't normally grease my pans anyway, because the bread usually, normally the bread that I make usually comes out pretty clean, so I don't worry too much about that. This one didn't go quite to the end, but that's okay. And I'm not sure, these are just regular size loaf pans. I'm not sure what the measurement is, but it's just it's not a small one, it's not a big one. Just a regular old size loaf. Okay, so the way that I'm going to determine, you know what? I was gonna measure it and do that, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just going to, let's see. It says punch down and divide into loaves or rolls. Let rise again and bake. So I'm going to, I might do that. I'm gonna weigh this. And then I'll weigh the glass. And that will give me my, oh, it says error because it's too much. Okay. Maybe I'm not going to do that. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. So, I'll stump that out first. Okay. So, this is, I'll just do it like this. I'm just going to divide it in half. And then, my math is not very good. I know this is 4, not 5, but 4. So, I can measure, I can weigh this out and kind of see where I am on a loaf. How big a loaf is, or how big a loaf would be. I guess it's a better way to. So that's about the size of a loaf. All right. And I just kind of fold it down into itself. Kind of tuck the ends. And then kind of do that again. I don't know, however y'all shape your loaves, it'd probably be just fine. And you could probably just do it on a cookie sheet and not even have to worry about rolling it out again. So I just divided it into 4 and did 2 loaves like this. And I'll stick these over here to rest again, and then I will start making my rolls with this. And so what I'm gonna do is I normally make like 2-ounce rolls, so this is where I will need my scale. 2 or 3-ounce rolls. We'll do 3 and then we'll see how big that makes it. And I've got a scale that will do ounces. So, we'll see how many. Then I just kind of measure until I get it. You know what? We'll do 4-ounce rolls. Because that just seems like a good amount. Some of them may be a little bit more than 4 ounces. But that's okay. I got to get a cookie sheet and get it prepped. So it's probably going to be about the size of a baseball, maybe. So the way that I roll these is I just kind of turn it into itself like you normally would. Well, I don't know if you've ever made rolls before, but kind of turn it into itself, and you want it smooth on the top. And then you kind of, as you're rolling it, you kind of push I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but you just kind of roll it around until it is like that. And then on the bottom, it pretty much doesn't have a seam, if that makes sense. So you just kind of push down with your hand as you're rolling, and it will kind of form into a ball. And then if you just keep going and kind of make a cup like this, and then just kind of roll it around in there, and then it'll come out all pretty like. So I'm gonna grab a pen. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my pen and my cookie sheet with my parchment paper on it, and I am going to I'm gonna actually make probably about a dozen of these. No, see, maybe half of it. I don't know how many it'll make, but I'm gonna make some, and then I'm gonna make some and leave them in the dough form and freeze them before they rise the second time. And then I'll cook them tomorrow or next week and see how they did and see if they taste about the same. And then I can know how big they're gonna be now, and then how well the dough freezes, and so that I can make some ahead of time for holidays. Excuse me. And that will be a very big time saver. So so I'm just gonna keep doing this, and I will see y'all back in a little bit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm putting these 7. So it didn't make as many as I thought it was gonna make, and it might be because I didn't divide the dough for the loaves correctly. But I got a total of, let's see, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 4-ounce rolls. So, and then I got like a 1.5 ounce roll. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in my deep freeze and kind of get them frozen, and then for a couple of hours, and then I will probably put them in a Ziploc bag or something like that once they won't stick together in the freezer, and then I'll pull them out next week or so and cook them and see how they compare to the freshly made ones. And then so it says that I need to bake the loaves at 325 for 30 to 35 minutes. Bake the rolls at 375 for approximately 15 minutes. So I'm going to let these rise again, because that's what it says to do. And then I'll probably bake the rolls first, because it'll just take 15 minutes at 375, and then I can jack up that temperature in the oven and then cook the loaves. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and then I will be back whenever we can put some butter on it. And oh, I love homemade bread. I'll see you in a little bit. Hey guys, so I've got the bread. It just came out of the oven not too long ago. It's gorgeous looking. I should have greased the side of the loaf pan, but I didn't, and I just took a knife and kind of fixed that. So not a big deal. I did put an egg wash on the bread. I did not put an egg wash on the rolls. So this is how big the rolls are. So they're about a softball size. So I'm going to show you sorry about the dishes. I'm also cooking dinner and whatever else. So anyways, I'm going to show you the rolls. So they're nice and squishy, and they are, I cooked them a little bit longer than the time needed, and they are, I think they're good. I haven't tasted it, but oh my gosh, it's good. I'll definitely be making these for Thanksgiving and Christmas. These are really good. I really like that. Okay, so this is definitely a we'll be making it again. I'm gonna toss this other one to my son.
It fell on the floor.
And it fell on the floor because you're not a good catch.
Yeah, because it's stinky.
Okay. So the bread is still, the loaf is still a little warm because I got it out of the oven probably about 10 minutes ago. So we're gonna just cut it. And I think maybe I didn't cook it long enough. I thought it was gonna burn because of the because of the top of it. It was a little dark. So I just cooked it for like 30 minutes, and I should have done it a little bit, yeah, it's underdone. You can roll it back up into a dough ball like that. It's underdone. So, but maybe it's just because it's still warm. I don't know. But this is a great recipe. The rolls were perfect at probably 20 minutes. The bread, I don't know if it's just because I cut it when it was warm and it hasn't had a chance to fully, because bread finishes cooking, I think. I'm going to make that up. Bread finishes cooking while it's sitting here before you cut it. That's just what I'm going to say. But the rolls, definitely a thumbs up. So, oh, hey, how you doing? So, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe to Sunday Potluck and make these rolls. Or call me and I'll make them for you. See y'all later. Bye.